Howdy folks, hello and welcome to the Iron Mountain Hour. It is Wednesday, March the 22nd, 3/22 of 2023. My name is Cliff. I'm coming to you live from the Iron Mountain here in Carter County, Tennessee. Tim is taking the night off. He'll be back with us on Sunday. Not exactly sure what we're going to do on Sunday, but I know what we did this past Sunday. We had a real good time talking about a past life experience, rebirth, reincarnation, soul traps, all kinds of stuff like that. Had a good time with that. And the time before that, we got down with Wilbur, and we talked about the satanic panic a couple episodes before that. So go back and check those episodes. Be sure and go over in the description of the video. There's the link to the Rumble channel. Go over there, make you an account, and follow us on there. We sure would appreciate it. We're trying to have that as an alternative platform. Should anything go right here at YouTube, we want to have a place to fall back and a place to build our audience and grow. So definitely go over there and check us out and share us with your friends. If you want to jump in on the Skype with me, I have got the Skype link in the description as well. Just jump up there on that Skype. We'll try that out and see if we can't get us a conversation going if anybody wants to jump in. And we are fixing to get into that, but I want to show you the stickers I got here from Wilbur at East Tennessee Design. If you saw the episode we did about the satanic panic, you saw Wilbur's at East Tennessee Design making t-shirts, so definitely hit him up in the Tri-Cities area for your graphics needs. He does a great job, does great prices, and couldn't be happier with his work. I've used him personally for bands and for business, and always been real happy with it. So go check him out for sure. And he in fact made the banner behind me and made these stickers. If you want some of these, you can email me at theironmountainhour@gmail.com. You can get you a couple of these sent for $5. Put them on your car. We've got a few of these riding around the Tri-Cities area that I've seen. So most of y'all don't be participating in the conversation, but it's nice to know you're out there listening. So thank you very much for getting the stickers, and hope some more people will get them. What's up, Alvin, in the chat, and Joe? Good to see y'all. So yeah, for those who don't know, we go live every Sunday and Wednesday night and at 10 p.m. Eastern. And it's normally me and Tim on the Wednesday night talking more news and current events and culture, things like that. So we're minus Tim tonight, but I'm going to present some news stuff to you, and we can talk about it in the chat, or we can talk on the Skype, however you'd like to do it. And let's see. And the chat is already acting up. I just saw you commented again, Alvin, and it's not showing me in the chat. Oh, good to be seen. Well, good. Definitely glad to have you with us. You always add to the conversation. You got a good knowledge, and you come across in a friendly manner. So you're always nice to have you. Spill, what's up? How's it going? From the West Coast. We got us quite a few West Coasters out there, and New Englanders, and getting a nice selection of locals, regular participants in the chat. It's nice to have. That's what we're going for. So we really do appreciate it. If y'all tell somebody else about this channel that you think might enjoy it, we get into all kinds of stuff: conspiracy, news, fun, cryptids, Bigfoot, UFOs, real life stuff. Not that stuff's not necessarily real, but real provable stuff. So this weekend, I'm thinking we're either going to do the report from Iron Mountain, which I've stumbled upon by happenstance in naming the show. It could be an interesting topic for discussion. And it just so happens we named our show that, and when I searched for the show at first, I would come up with Iron Mountain. There's like a paper shredding company around here called Iron Mountain. Then I come across the report from Iron Mountain, which is classic conspiracy lore from before my time that I never heard about until recently. So we'll definitely get into that very soon. Either that, we're going to do the Doomsday Solutions this weekend. I'm not sure if we're going to do that this weekend or not. I'd like to have somebody who is kind of really doing this stuff. So if anybody out there knows somebody who is engaged in not necessarily prepping, but just mending all their fences and getting ready to be able to survive and be independent no matter what happens. So building communities, that means things like getting to know your local butcher, starting, buying meat directly from a local farmer and butcher. It's possible. You can do it. They're out there, guys. There's a guy like 5-6 miles down the road from me. Local butchered cows. Cut it up for you how you want. Give you good prices. especially if you buy like a half a cow and put it in the deep freeze. I'm not doing that, but it'd be a good thing for me to do, wouldn't it? So if anybody knows anybody that would like to come on the show for that, that would be an excellent guest for the show. If anybody could put it in touch with us at the ironmountainhour@gmail.com. But I do want to do that show in the very near future because it's been requested by quite a few people. Setting up an agora. Now that's a pretty good one, Alvin. Tell me more about that, because as I understand it, that's basically a like-minded community who, you know, tries to barter and trade within the community, and you know, basically be not living like isolationists, but setting up all the local relationships as they can, and that's a good thing. So if I don't understand that, Alvin, then correct me on that, and I'd love to learn more about it. So let's get into some of the stories tonight. Send me an email. That'd be great. I appreciate that. Thanks, Alvin. Always good to have you around. That was Moose Roberts bringing us in, the Catman himself, with his song Catmandu from the album Catmandu. Definitely go over. Moose is up to 70 albums available on his Bandcamp. You can buy all 70 of these albums for $119.25, and that'll get you his full catalog. He sure would appreciate it. That's how he pays his bills. And if you like anything from, you know, classic blues to experimental punk and kind of everything in between, Moose is your guy. He doesn't really have he does have a style, but he'll play whatever he sets down and comes up with, and we've featured his music a few times on the show. Definitely go and check that out. So we're going to start off tonight. You remember we were talking about the Tesla Tech like 2 weeks ago, and we're going to go to this article from the Daily Mail. Elevator malfunction during maintenance caused New York City's new $3.3 billion One Vanderbilt skyscraper to shake and terrified workers to flee the 93-floor tower, the owner says. 93. They like that number, don't they, those elites? The people with 3.3, you know, like the 33 too, don't they? The people who have $3.3 billion to build a 93-floor tower. They say the 14th, the 51st, and the 60th floors all shook dramatically. And a spokesman said that this was caused by repair work to the elevators. Now, I was reading in the Twitter comments on this story. This is from the Daily Mail. It doesn't really get into that. But they're like, yo, I work in elevator maintenance. There ain't nothing, I was there. Ain't nothing was making that building shake like that from the elevator. So I couldn't help but think of resonance, because they said it was vibrating through the building, and that's the only building affected. Couldn't help but think of Tesla's oscillating generator, you know, what has been dubbed the earthquake machine, because it shook his laboratory apart and he had to destroy it, according to an interview with him. But, you know, we've talked about hollow earth and flat earth and all kinds of different earths here on this show, and well, I had something here for you and I just accidentally closed it, so give me just a second, let me find it again. Yeah, here we go. I just happened to see a tweet from the Flat Earther on Twitter as I was browsing for, you know, just fun stuff to look at on the show. And the Flat Earther says, "Are you ready for this rabbit hole? The Great Pyramids are the tips of giant obelisks beneath the sand." How about that? What do you think about that? Now, as I understand it, the official narrative and the official, you know, scientific consensus is that, you know, they're built upon, they know what the bedrock is like down there. There's like a limestone bedrock that's built on that. But who knows? If they really were hiding it, of course they would fake that study too. But I'm not one to say here one way or the other. I have no idea. It seems like they're probably built on limestone, but it's a fun idea to think about. But which begs the question for the flat earthers: how thick is this flat Earth? I mean, is it like a sheet of paper, or is it? How is that exactly? What are we talking about? Are we talking a Chicago deep dish pizza? Are we talking a double layer cake? Is it just layers of cake or turtles all the way down? I mean, I've not heard you guys mention that theory, but this makes me wonder about it, because these huge ass obelisks in the photo there, or the art. Let's see here. But then Alejandro commented this. We're looking at the head of Easter Island, the toes in Stonehenge, and the wiener of Washington, D.C. And isn't that apropos? Which, of course, as we've discussed on the channel before, the Washington Monument is a big penis. That's the whole reason it's there, to make you think about wieners. They say it has some occult properties to it. The thing, including the part that's underground, is actually 666 feet tall. Has some other significant numbers to it, and of course going back to the obelisk and the occult significance of that, and the basically being a phallic symbol all the way back to Egyptian mythology with Osiris. Spill, yeah, you were wondering about the name. Actually, the name is because we're on Iron Mountain, and the hour comes from An Hour of the Time, the program that Bill Cooper used to do back in the day, so it's a bit of an homage to him. Radio, that was like true pirate radio for their folks, Bill Cooper. An Hour of the Time, and then an Iron Mountain Hour, because we're on the Iron Mountain. And this area was named that because some of the earliest settlers here, they began mining some iron from the local mountains. And this was there was some hot spots here on Iron Mountain. It stretches all the way up to Damascus, Virginia. And it's, I think the peak's 4,000 feet high, so it's not that big of a mountain. Roan Mountain is the highest around here. It's 6,800 feet. But yeah, that's where the name comes from. I live in the middle of the Iron Mountain. And yeah, they like those numbers, don't they? The 3, 6, and 9 is the ones that Tesla talked about a lot. And those are ones that show up a lot too. 93, Flight 93, anybody? The Tacoma Narrows Bridge, yeah, that thing, they said it was the wind that just whipped and shaked it to pieces, and that wasn't resonance, but I don't believe that was the wind. And maybe the wind started the bridge to vibrate at that particular frequency, and because the materials it's made out of, there's no way that the wind alone, caused it to do that. Tesla posited they were power generating plants. Yeah, we talked about that on our Tesla Tech video. The tops were actually capped with gold, and that they were connected to the aquifer below ground. And the idea that Tesla had was that basically the inert action of the Earth causes a magnetic or a electrical field, and that by setting up this power generators, you could tap into that electrical field, and then you could beam it into the ionosphere where you could share it around the world. And, vehicles wouldn't have to carry batteries or use gasoline or be connected. They could just draw off the power plants that were all over the world. And that was the idea with the Wardenclyffe Tower that we talked about. And Tesla believed the pyramids operated much the same principle. We also talked about in that video, if you want to go back and check it out, it was episode 76, I believe. Maybe 75, I can't remember, a couple weeks ago. But it's called Tesla Tech, Weather Weapons, and something like that. But if you go back and check it out, we also looked at the Visiv Corporation and their attempts to build a recreation of the Wardenclyffe Tower that works in a different ways using Zemic waves. And it actually, the idea is it's going to draw power from the atmosphere and transmit it through the Earth. So they're kind of taking the reverse angle on it. So that's pretty interesting. Go check out the video if you haven't watched it yet. I think Tesla may have been onto something there, and I think the Visiv, the boys who went and checked out that Visiv company, they're onto something too. So again, that's all in the description of the last week's video. But here we got, speaking of, we're getting Tesla Tech, we're getting a little bit creepy. Look at this, that popped up on somebody's Ring doorbell camera. And let me know in the chat if y'all can hear this, because actually I'll just look it on my phone with my professional grade monitoring system here, and we'll see. Make sure y'all can hear this.
Hi.
I got Girl Scout cookies. You want some?
I don't have any cash on me. I'm sorry.
They're free.
Aren't those for the Girl Scouts? Sorry.
We're selling them for free.
Can I go look at the door?
No, we can't go out there.
Yeah, don't go out there.
No thank you on the Girl Scout cookies.
You're scary.
Okay.
We
I can see you.
never let it go away.
So, right? I mean,
Hi.
what do you think? She on the drugs, or do you think she's like trying to set him up, or she just playing a prank with her friends? I don't know. It could be one of those things. But one thing that's probably scarier than that is Sam Hyde. I'm not the biggest. I don't know that much about Sam Hyde, honestly. The main thing I've seen him about is because people basically made a joke. I know he's a comedian, but people started making jokes out of putting Sam's face into historical events and news stories and making it as if Sam were what was causing the news stories to go on. We got somebody in the call here. What's up? Anybody else there? It's showing me 1 of 2 in call for me, so I don't know. So, I don't know exactly how this works. This is with the whole Skype thing and taking calls on it, but I'm trying to do it. So, no, it's just me. Just lonely old Cliff over here. That's all right, though. I got you guys with me in the chat, and we can get into all this stuff. But like I said, I didn't really know a lot about Sam Hyde, but they put him in a lot of memes, like for example, the Ghost of Kiev, which was a made-up story about a Ukrainian fighter pilot who was, just flying around, just slaying all the Russian in dogfights, and turned out it was all made up. And so right-wing shit posters, on the chance they made a meme with Sam Hyde sitting in the cockpit of a plane, they just photoshopped him in there and said, we've identified the Ghost of Kiev, it's Samuel Hyde or something, and got all these left-wing Twitter journalists to start sharing it around. And so that was his whole deal, was like, these guys are so stupid they'll share anything around. And so they did. And there's a lot of other memes where they do that. They'll just Photoshop Sam in and say, this criminal's been identified and it's Sam Hyde. And a lot of people, most journalists are wise to it now, but it was really good for a time. But this is what I mostly know Sam Hyde from, and this might even get the channel struck down. I hope not, because I can't find this on YouTube. It is on BitChute, so we'll see if they'll let it fly. But this is what I think of when I think of Hassan, or of Sam Hyde. Now, he was in a boxing match. He's not a boxer, but he trained for a boxing match and did the boxing match and won. And he's a big dude, so he can throw a pretty good punch, and he clocked the other dude pretty good a couple times. So a lot of people were surprised by how well he did, and he won the match. But this is interviewing him after the match. He had been having a feud with left-wing blogger Hassan Piker, who's I believe, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I believe he calls himself a socialist, maybe a communist. But he also lives in makes millions of dollars a year and lives in a huge mansion. And from investigative reports that I'd seen earlier, he does not, in fact, share that wealth. Now that's according to others reporting that I've seen. I've not investigated it myself, so I don't want to say that about him, but that's what others have reported. So anyway, this is after Sam's match. He decides to bring up his feud with Hassan Piker.
Have you got anyone you want to call out in the heavyweight division?
Oh, you know it, lad. You know that Hassan Piker. I'm coming to kill you in Los Angeles at your house.
Or in the ring?
No, in real life. I'm going to stalk him and become obsessed with him and wear his makeup and his dresses and use his skin as a coat like the ancient Irish did.
Well, that's your winner, Sam Hyde!
So yeah, he might be a mediocre boxer, but you definitely don't want that guy mad at you. It'd be a little scarier than the Girl Scout cookies at the door, although that was a bit creepy. But Sam Hyde, he posted on his Twitter account, he talks about, I'll just go ahead and read the thread with you. We'll do that together. So this is Sam. He says, this is the story of how YouTube's most super chatted comedian, Palantir's elite level magenta security team, and a shit poster named Greb took on big Wikipedia corporations and saved democracy. A thread. And then he goes on to say, Elon Musk, please retweet this. He says, 8 days ago, on my CyberGhost VPN-protected ProtonMail account, I received a communique from an operative using Palantir's hacker code saying that he was going to update my Wikipedia to say that I'm a member of American Mensa. He says, I am probably a top member. And he goes on to show the message from the Anon, who says he's trying to edit Wikipedia to show that he's a member of Mensa. And then Samuel Hyde goes on to show them his life member certificate of Mensa that's nicely wadded up there, which is hilarious. And there's his member card. So Mensa is supposed to be a organization for intelligence people. It always makes me think of that King of the Hill where Peggy, takes the test online and then gets conned by all the people who they tell everybody they're a genius, and then they get them to come to a room and they make them feel special, telling them they're so smart, and then they get them to buy these leather-bound copies of the 100 smartest people in Texas, and sell them to them for like $60 a piece, and try to get them to buy a bunch of them to send to their friends. So that's what that made me think of. But Sam goes on. He says, or that's what Mensa made me think of. He says, I was told by my informant that Wikipedia has been invaded by cucks, and they were basically trying to cuck me and never trump me. Sam's words, big no-no. Please note American Mensa and Mensa International. They are now directly insulting our esteemed organization. And the Anon writes, named Greb, writes Sam and says, the amount of pushback I'm getting from the editors at Wikipedia is astronomical. They are telling me that I lack a reliable second source for this, despite providing your signed documentation as well as a link to your American Lifetime Member Award. One editor went so far as to say, it's not something that is worth including without secondary coverage because it's essentially a scam to get people to pay to say they're smart. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I get. If no one else thinks it's important, why should we? But at the same time, it is a notable thing about a person. Anyone else who is a Mensa member, you generally consider that a notable thing. But it seems like Wikipedia doesn't want you to note that about this person, Sam Hyde, who I admittedly know next to nothing about. Greb goes on to say the gall of these people, yet they include speculations about the size of Adolf Hitler's scrotums, I am not joking, on his page without a shred of evidence. Besides, it has been speculated that. It says it is a shameless leftist bigotry over there, and when they won't acknowledge the success or achievements of upstanding men who do not align with their belief system, but will include speculations that they were missing a testicle in their scrotum as a way of causing further injury or insult to injury. Another editor said, we cannot be certain that the Samuel Hyde on the certificate refers to the person in question. I have half the mind to send them the picture to tell them to suck it, but I fear that would not do well for your case. Mensa member proof.pmg. I will continue looking for a secondary source to prove this. Warmly, Greb. So then Sam goes on to say, this part is actually fried. Not only did Wikipedia refuse to update my page, they also removed my name from the list of Mensa member page. So that not only did Wikipedia prevent his page from being updated with accurate information, they went back and removed him from the page. So they're memory holding things. Wikipedia, there's just a quick example of it. Sam Hyde, not probably a lot of people don't even know who he is. I admit I didn't really either. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting there. Let's go on to our next potentially scary thing, at least to some people. We're looking at a meeting, WWE style, of Vladimir Putin. Look at him walking in like a wrestler. And Xi Jinping. There's been, speculation over whether or not they were looking for China to provide some sort of military aid to Russia for their ongoing border dispute there with Ukraine, where basically, NATO and United States supports is the only thing that's really keeping Ukraine alive in the fight. But I think right now Russia occupies about 17% of Ukraine, and they're looking to be in it for the long haul. It looks like they've been in there over a year now. I don't think it's insignificant that Putin and Xi are meeting now, and who knows what they really talked about. But I thought it important to point out. Let's check the chat up here. A gas mask behind me? No, I don't think there's a gas mask here. I do have a gas mask. Oh, hanging up there? No, that's a camping a oil lantern, kerosene lantern. No, kerosene won't work in it. I tried it. It's an oil lantern. Yeah, I wish I could get that lava lamp to show up a little bit better there, Alvin. It's for whatever reason it just blurs the camera, and I cannot get it to to actually pick up the lava. You know, there's I can't remember where it was, but I saw they have a room full of lava lamps that are scanned constantly by AI programs, and that is used to set the security parameters for this one particular company. But it was pretty neat the way they, you know, it was deemed almost impossible to hack because there's no way you could actually predict what the lava lamps are going to do, and then there's multiple ones. So drugs. I don't know, man. Talking about the girl spill is, people are strange, and Alvin, you're right. The left can't meme. I've seen some pretty bad ones. Yeah, every now and then they'll get a good one off, but not too often. Let's see here. True Geordie doing the interview? I'm not sure who that is. Setting the stage for New World leadership. Yes, indeed. Talking about the meeting of Xi and Putin. I wanted to show you this video real quick for I've got a little bit to go to for our local folks. Just 2 minutes. Even though y'all ain't local, y'all might enjoy this from WJHL. They're going to watch our local Carter County finances here where the Iron Mountain's located. These guys are in trouble for not keeping up with their bucks.
I can say that after speaking with a spokesperson from the comptroller's office, it was clear that they were very frustrated with the amount of time it took them to conduct their annual audit with Carter County, which only adds to the issues they found when conducting their investigation.
Carter County's audit is one of the last audits that we're releasing in this cycle, and much of that is because it took so long to get the audit and the financial statements in a position where we could.
It took so long to get the money. Do you guys ever watch those History Channel shows where that guy always is like, he repeats everything that happens in the show? I'm sorry, I don't know why I suddenly felt compelled to do that. But Carter County was taking a long time to get their money or get their reporting done.
Express an opinion.
The audit included several findings in the solid waste department that's now under investigation. In that department alone, the audit found issues with accounting functions, computer system backup procedures, and not reviewing logs that show if anything was changed or deleted by the.
Not reviewing logs? How would anyone know if anything was changed or deleted?
Those who have access to the system. The Carter County School System's Transportation Department is also under investigation. John Dunn with the Comptroller's Office indicates that these investigations are done no matter how much or how little money is involved.
In our view, any misuse of public money or public property is something that's deemed to be investigatable, and we will certainly follow up on those situations.
Dunn says the work that needs to be done in Carter County is not difficult and that it all comes down to management.
So it is really important that the person leading that office, that the people working in that office are highly capable, that there's good management, leadership, and oversight. So we do want to make sure that that office is well run, because when it is, that centralized financial function can be very, very successful for counties.
The comptroller.
So listen, I'm the last one to take up for public servants. I really am. I don't generally take up for bureaucrats in particular, but it is an important function to have the comptroller make sure that the county is spending its resources wisely and not embezzling money. But there's no accusation of that here, only that their books weren't turned in on time, weren't kept up. Now, if you were talking about the Department of Education, if you're talking about the health department, okay, I can see, they got the full accounting departments and stuff, but you're talking about the dump and the bus garage. Okay, if somebody's embezzling. Sure. And notice they didn't say how much it was either. They just noticed that, their books are off or whatever. Now, I'm all for the state figuring it out and checking it out, but it seems kind of dirty to do them like that before you actually found any evidence of wrongdoing or anything, and do the interview with the news like that and kind of throw them under the bus. Have you ever been to the dump or the bus garage? I mean, these guys do a good job doing what they do. If they're not embezzling money, give them a little bit of break and don't talk about, replacing everybody at the bus garage and the dump. Seriously. That's all. Also another, this is a local story to a degree. This is actually a national and local story, so anybody can participate in this. I wanted to tell you guys about, I've mentioned him on the show before, but it's been a while. This is Rodney Smith Jr. Rodney Smith is the president of Raising Men and Raising Women, the founder, and they are a 501c3 charity organization to provide free lawn care to the elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And what they do is they recruit kids to take part in what they call their 50-yard challenge. And each time these kids, what they do is they volunteer to mow 50 yards for elderly, disabled, single parents, and veterans. And they do it free of charge. And after they reach 50 yards, the kids are gifted by Raising Men. They're given a mower and weed eater and leaf blower, rake, and I think other snow shovel maybe. They give them a whole bunch of equipment. But I wanted to show you all this. This is how many people they've got. They've got them nationwide now. We've got 103 kids participating in Tennessee. Rodney, I follow him on Twitter. He's one of the most busy. He's one of the busiest men in America. Busiest mans. He's one of the busiest men in America, and he's traveling all over the country, constantly delivering equipment for kids, teaching them to have self-respect, to be charitable, to be good, good neighbors. This is Rodney here. And he just does great work. And one of the reasons I wanted to show him is because here recently, Rodney posted photos of young man Carson from Elizabeth in Tennessee, signed up for the 50-yard challenge. He's received his shirt there, got his safety glasses, got his ear protection. He's ready to mow. So Raising Men sends him that. The kids are responsible for getting a mower to start out with. But like I said, after they complete the 50-yard challenge, they get a brand new Craftsman mower, weed eater, and leaf blower. We've also got Joseph from Piney Flats, Tennessee. He signed up for the 50-yard challenge and received his shirt, safety glasses, and ear protection in the mail, and he's ready to mow. And so if anybody would be interested in signing up, one of your kids or grandkids with Rodney Smith, you just reach out to him on Twitter at Rodney Smith Jr., at I am Rodney Smith. And it's definitely a cool thing to get your kids involved in. And here's a post of Rodney stopping through Tennessee. So apparently they had a Walmart closed down in Wisconsin, and they're donating all the weed eaters and blowers to them. So yeah, they're giving kids leaf blowers too. Leaf blowers, weed eaters, mowers. Everything these youngins need to not only, mow yards for the disabled, but then enough to start their own mowing business, and teaching them the work ethic and all kinds of good life lessons there from Raising Men. So it's definitely something good to check out and good to participate in for kids up to 18. And let's go on. Thanks, Rodney. Let me check the chat. Check the chat. The dollar will be going down pretty soon as well. Yeah, Alvin, I think you're right about that. There was some speculation that may have had a lot to do with the Silicon Valley Bank, Silicon Valley Bank collapse, because basically they had money lent out, right? And they had a certain amount of assets. Well, some of their assets were in dollars. The values of those dollars went down, and suddenly the amount of dollars they had was not enough to cover the amount of the assets that they had out, and that was one of the factors leading to the collapse. So anyway, that would make some sense. I'm not entirely sure if that's correct, but that is something I heard. So slow news day, don't you think? Yeah, we were all expecting, it was 3/22. Trump was supposed to be arrested today. But I did want to show you something about that real quick. It was supposed to be this big, there was, a rumor it was going to be the indictment, at least, of Trump, and then say, he would likely turn himself in next week. But then the DA up there in Manhattan decided not to press charges against, or not to do anything today anyway, about indicting Trump over something to do with the NDA that he had with Stormy Daniels, and they've been talking about it since before the at the beginning of Trump's term, and they're still talking about it, trying to bust him on it, all kinds of stuff. Basically, his lawyer, who he had on retainer to take care of all of his legal problems, had this woman, either went to this woman or had her, come to them and say, hey, I want money to not talk about this. The lawyer, went ahead and paid her to go away, and they're saying that this violates a finance law. But anyway, the feds declined to even prosecute him on it. But this, I think his name's Alvin Bragg. He's a Soros-appointed DA here in Manhattan, and they are fixing to indict him allegedly, according to a lot of different sources. And a lot of people are saying that that was going to happen today. And then a lot of people were speculating about 322 and the skull and bones and the occult significance of the number, and saying that perhaps they were going to indict and arrest him today. But anyway, nothing happened down there. But something interesting I found out about that is these this trial, or this DA's courthouse, they're actually filming the Joker sequel this weekend. So the same courthouse they're on the same block where Trump is supposed to be. The Joker is filming this weekend. So wouldn't that be crazy? And it's a scene with a mob of insane people. Isn't that something? Wouldn't that be something? I mean, just think of the possibilities about that. You have a federal indictment or I think it's even a misdemeanor, like an indictment filed on Trump for that, and then you got the protesters out there, and then you got the mob of angry Joker stuff. So it's no wonder they postponed the thing or didn't do anything this week. So we'll see what happens. But let's get on to the not meat and potatoes of the night. I found this story from CNN. I don't typically go to CNN, but when I saw this, I was like, what the fuck is that? A 3D printed cheesecake. This is what they're calling this. A 3D printed vegan cheesecake. Look at this thing. So I was curious about this, and it kind of makes it sound like it's this real, fancy high-tech thing. 3D printed food is going to be disruptive to legacy food distribution, like regional servers were to the early internet. This kind of stuff. He's talking about how this is, they're admitting that it's not really where it's at. The Jonathan Bludinger, a mechanical engineer at Columbia, he says, it's basically, if it were to hit the market right now, this technology, it's like having an iPod without any MP3 files. So not trying to upplay it too much, but they still release this to the news, and they're saying basically this is going to change the world in 3D printed food, and it sounds like something that could print the food or change the world if you're able to print food. So I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. He said the method is exacting, allowing chefs to use extremely precise amounts of ingredients that can be baked or heated down differently from moment to moment. So what they do, I went on to pull their study up, and it's pretty disappointing. If you were looking for, Star Trek, where you have the replicator or whatever the hell it is. Oh no, I just closed the thing. I had to go back. That sucks. I closed the window I was done with, and then also closed the one that I was still reading from. Give me just a second. 3D printed study. Okay, so I found the study, and they put the study in nature.com, which is where a lot of studies get posted, and peer reviewed stuff. And I read this entire study while my wife was taking a shower last night, and then had like 5 or 6 minutes left over to do a little bit more research. And I really didn't do that much, but I do want to go over a little bit of their study with you about this 3D printed vegan cheesecake that I've seen several news outlets, including CNN, ooh, 3D printed food. And they go on, they start pretty good saying, we're basically going to take user-generated models, construct 3D shapes from edible food, inks and lasers to cook the stuff. And they go on to say that, explain kind of how 3D printing, is changing the world. But they say that this is basically going to phase out the old system of food, and that they're going to replace it with and they imagine a subscription model where people will get a machine at a relatively low cost that will print their food for them, but what they will pay for is a subscription service to ingredient cartridges and recipe downloads. So that this thing, you have the cartridges come in the mail, you plug them in with the different ingredients, you download the recipe, hit the button, boom, it makes the food for you. Well, and then they have it has a laser that cooks it, layer by layer, and adjusts the intensity of the laser to cook it as it goes. So anyway, this starts to makes you think about really high tech stuff, Star Trek stuff. I even saw there was a company called Redefine Meat that does 3D printed plant-based. They call it plant-based meats. How's it a meat if it's plant-based? But they certainly have sexy commercials here with lots of, edgy-looking young people. And their meat, that actually looks somewhat like meat. It's 3D printed, and it's actually pretty advanced the way they're doing that, because they're printing, they're like synthesizing these proteins on a molecular level, these plant proteins, to be able to construct them in the grain, the texture, and they like to say that it has a mouthfeel of meat. I hate the word mouthfeel. Why do they have to say mouthfeel so much? Mouthfeel. But look at this. See, that actually looks like the texture of meat, right? That's a 3D printed steak. So I was thinking, 3D printed cheesecake, this could be pretty wild, man. You just put in the different chemical ingredients in order to create the compound, and this thing, assembles the cheesecake. What these people did, and they go on to, to say how this is going to basically make food more affordable and put the people out of, the old agriculture and stuff out of business, old cattle agriculture, all this stuff. It's all going to go to the wayside. And they're saying, of course, it's going to be sustainable. And they also said that it's going to be so that you can feed more people, because of course the population is going to keep growing. And there is some wisdom to being aware that the population is going to grow and we're going to have to feed a lot of these people. But there's ways to do it other than saying, no, we're not going to raise any more cattle. We're going to grow fields and fields of vegetables, soybeans mostly, and corn. We're going to plow these fields, destroying the habitats of all kinds of rodents, prairie dogs, you name it, anything that lives in the ground, birds, all kinds of stuff is going to be destroyed in the name of this, because y'all don't want to hurt animals. Well, you're killing a lot of animals when you do this stuff. And not only that, it takes up a lot more land. It uses a lot more water. It's a lot less productive as far as calories per gallon of water and per acre of land than raising meat is. So you can feed a lot more people a lot more effectively, a lot more efficiently with meat than you can any vegetable. So if you want to feed people, we should be focusing on that. But the 3D, when you hear 3D printed meat, though, you kind of think, well, they're using protein synthesis. In some places they are. Actually, there are companies that are 3D printing fake human meat, and it's supposed to be this trendy thing to go eat this 3D printed meat that tastes like what a tiger, what a tiger would taste like, or what a human being would taste like. But you can go out to LA and experience that right now. And Spill, they were right. They have been messing with it for a while, but it always tastes off. I'm sure it would. I've never tried a 3D printed food that I know of. Yeah, Alvin, me too. They finally figured out how to turn me into vegetarian. Well, yeah, and ultimately, what this boils down to, and let me finish explaining explaining the experiment here, because what these people did, I looked it up. It took me a minute to find it, but I was like, where did they get the money for this? Or after I finished reading the thing, because I'll let you know the rest of it in just a minute. But I looked it up, and they got a grant from the National Science Foundation. This is the AI Institute in Dynamic Systems. And let's see. Let me click on this here. Oh no, that's not the right one. That's for University of Washington. Oh yeah, that's the first one I found. So the first one I found was University of Washington. Well, University of Washington got $20 million as part of this grant. And then I looked up, there were 11 different universities that got this grant. And it is grant number 2112085 with the National Science Foundation, if anybody wants to look it up. But these mothers, these people, they used $8.5 million. I found it later. Let me find it. Let's see if I think I sent it to myself in email. That was not what it was. But they raised $8.5 million to for Columbia did. They got $20 million too, and $8.5 million of it. Oh, I can't find it now. I'm sorry. It's kind of hard to do it during the show. Give me just 1 second, because I did want to show you that. Columbia University grants. I searched it through their grant program, so we'll just do this right here in live time. It was not student financial services research. Here we go. So we'll go to Columbia University, find funding, quick links. We'll go to find existing awards. Let me show you here. I am at research.columbia.edu, and I'm going to find existing awards. We're going to National Science Foundation Awards, and let me go over here and get this number. 2112085. So we'll go back. Where'd the other one go? Here we go. 2112085. AI Institute in Dynamic Systems. Okay, here we go. The total awarded to date, $8,531.95. That was for the University of Washington. But shoot, guys, I'm sorry, but they had 11 different schools that got it. University of Columbia is one of them. They put that number in the end of the paper. They also got money from Redefined Meat, the company that I showed you earlier that made that 3D printed meat. It doesn't look like a sponge, but it's a lot more advanced than the 3D printed cheesecake. Let's look at that 3D printed cheesecake again. But basically what they did, guys, is they took, okay, these are like PhD level research scientists at Columbia University, and they took a 3D printer and retrofitted it to, basically they ran an existing program called Slicer that's a 3D printing, it's a 3D printing software, and they did, you know, customize it to their needs so they could run 11 different nozzles, so they could have different ingredients that this printer could put in at once, so it didn't all have, like, you know, one ingredient. But again, we're talking middle school level robotics stuff. Our Happy Valley school kids did basic robotics like this, and they've used a CAD program to teach it. All they did was spray pureed bananas and like pureed strawberries, pureed like almond milk powder, and made it cold, and then they put it on there with a 3D printer that they programmed with CAD. We're talking really basic stuff. They got paid $8.5 million to do this. This is stuff your local middle school robotics team could do with very minimal funding. And these guys at Columbia University got $8.5 million. We're talking true amateur hour, guys. We're talking, look at this. This is the best they could do with $8.5 million. I guarantee you give me that kind of money, I'm going to make a better looking 3D cheesecake than that. But yeah, that's all they did. They had little nozzles programmed to squirt the thing. We're talking science fair stuff, guys. I mean, I know it sounds advanced to, you know, somebody who doesn't realize, like myself, even up until recently, that kind of technology is out there and available, and the kids already have access to it and are using it and successfully. So yeah, I know you trust me, Alvin, but I don't want to put it out there for, you know, other people who don't know me and, you know, give them doubt. So I do want to show on stuff like that. But yeah, the University of Columbia was one of several colleges that got that, and a lot of it sounded a lot more impressive. But basically their whole study is the abstract portion where they're trying to make it sound impressive, and then the actual study itself is very minimal. It's like about 2/3 of the way down the paper is where you actually get into, and we're talking where we got all the ingredients were acquired from a local convenience store. They name the convenience store. They're just taking up space at this point. The peanut butter Skippy from Austin, USA, Jam, the Jam Smucker Company. They just made a big pile of peanut butter and jelly and bananas that they squirted together, a big mush. That's all they did, was program a computer to control a printer to squirt together a bunch of mush. This is the Ivy League, folks. This makes me think of what, you know, the Revenge of the Nerds were doing if they got too high, you know, and after Ogre joined the clan and they had some protection in the second one, you know, if the nerds were just hanging out at the house on the weekend and, you know, they got too stoned, and maybe this was Ogre's idea. There's got to be an Ogre somewhere up there at Columbia. How are you guys letting Ogre write the studies? Jesus. All right, let's move on. That's all we got for tonight. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back on Sunday night at 10. Again, we're either going to do the report from Iron Mountain or the solutions stories. I definitely like some emails on that stuff. Like Alvin, you're talking about starting an Agora. It was one of the, what was it? One of the eight different types of loves that the Greeks recognized, or something like that. And it was that community, love of community, love, something like that. I can't remember all of them. But I know you know, Alvin, so I'd love to hear that from you in the email. That'd definitely be something that would be good for the show. Also email, let us know in the comments, let us know in the chat. What do you think about this 3D print? You know, it all comes down to they're trying to find a way for you to eat the bugs. Eat the bugs. They all want you to eat the bugs. That's what it is. They want you to eat bugs. So they're gonna try to find a way to print a regular food in there with mush. So you know, we already don't know what we're eating with all the processed food. We already eat beaver ass on a regular basis. You know, a lot of your fake vanilla flavorings and stuff like that. Natural flavor, it's often put on the ingredients. I mean, what good is regulation if you can just, and people that, you know, say, where would we be without the government regulating this stuff? What good is regulation when you can put beaver ass in in my damn brownies and just call it natural flavor, or put beaver ass in my soda pop and call it natural flavor? You should have to put beaver ass on there. If we're going to have regulators for anything, you should have to put beaver ass on there. But anyway, how do you feel about beaver ass? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it very much. Definitely don't forget to go to the Rumble and follow us over there. Like and watch some of the videos over there. And be sure and subscribe if you haven't already. And come back Sunday night at 10. We're going to have a good time. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Alvin. Thank you, Spill, for joining me in the chat. And be sure to go send somebody over to Raising Men if you got something. And check out East Tennessee Design. And give us a holler on these stickers, y'all. Appreciate it. Y'all have a good night. Oh yeah, and go buy Moose's albums. Go buy his discography from Bandcamp. Good night.